Why do you not like your job? Being micromanaged and having a dozen buttholes telling me that what I need to do for them should be my top priority, when none of them realize that another 11 buttholes already told me the same thing about their balls. Incompetent management, always trying to fix what isn't broken because they need to pretend to be contributing something. I've been working for a few months at a marine mammal rehab rescue center in Alaska. I love it overall, but it can be extremely gross. I didn't believe people at first when they said how nasty sea lions can be. We were warned several times in training, don't inhale if you approach them from the front. Their breath will just about knock you out. I thought it was a joke until one belched right into my face and I insta-barfed. I don't get it. How can their breath be worse than their poop though? Spending all my time mentally, emotionally, and physically killing myself in service of putting a few more dollars in a billionaire's pocket is fundamentally wrong, and I hate that I have no choice in the matter when the alternative is starvation and homelessness. I still don't feel like I really know what I am doing. No one will give me constructive feedback, so I've kind of fumbled my way to the point I am at right now and feel that at any moment it could all come crashing down like a house of cards. I have concerns about falling down a rabbit hole with this career and not being able to change to something else, but don't even know what I would change to because I'm not sure what I would like doing. I like my job for the most part, but what I don't like is if you are diligent and competent, more is expected of you as opposed to the people who are frick-ups. It's like the bosses just shrug their shoulders and say he's just like that when referring to why they won't ask someone to do something because they won't do it properly. Well, I'm not the freaking idiot who hired them, so why do I have to carry them? I sit in a chair reading for my bosses for 10 hours of the day, and the few times I do other crap it's standings for a few minutes scanning paperwork to other law firms. To top it off, I file his paperwork and see that he makes $360 an hour more than me to basically do the same exact thing. I work in an industry with very delicate economics. Employee pay is directly tied to client invoice rate. If our clients think our rates are too high, they will go overseas. This suppresses compensation competitiveness. So, we attract generally un- or low-skilled workers. Many of these workers lack skills because of life circumstances. Single teen parent with no familial support. Recovering addicts who often relapse. These circumstances tend to lead to events that might make them seem flaky. This is just the nature of this job. That is difficult enough on its own, but when you add an incompetent HR leader who has zero touch and no empathy, me as the operational leader starts to really freaking hate my job. Recently, I was on vacation trying to completely check out. One of my managers texted me saying she thought she had COVID. I shot a quick message to HR asking if she could help the manager figure out sick time. She responds with hourly employees do not get sick time. Not sure why you would think that. Well, I would think that because as an exempt employee, I get it. And most companies I think give people sick time. Even more recently, I had an employee tell me that her daughter got a burn at the babysitter and she needed to take her to a hospital out of town. Sent me a photo of her at the hospital and was sending me like hourly updates. HR asks me why she wasn't working and I explain. Her response, well, that is what she says. I cut her off and tell her I have photos. Listen, I just don't trust any of these employees well. That is a horribly toxic trait for a leader to have, especially one in HR. Conversely, whenever I have issues with employees and would like to discipline or terminate, she is never on board because she doesn't like having difficult conversations. I freaking hate it here. I hope my last interview went well. These stories make me happy to not be living in the US. Sick leave, paid for by the employer 100% for 30 days and for 60% by the government after 30 days. And personal time off, 4 days a year at minimum, usually paid, because of family reasons is the law here. I seriously can't understand why you guys haven't changed this whole situation already. Because I'm terrible at it. Before I became a software engineer, I used to write code to pull data from SQL and build automated dashboards and stuff. I felt like I was legitimately great at it. I did a web dev bootcamp and got a job as an actual software engineer. Turns out coding is like 1% of software engineering and the other 99% is stuff like configuring Kubernetes clusters, Docker images, Terraform scripts to provision EC2 instances, troubleshooting GitLab pipelines and navigating through the labyrinth of access requests required to do literally anything in a large enterprise. I never learned how to do any of that stuff. My boss is so nice and patient and the pay is great, but I hate being this bad at something and feel like I made a huge mistake changing careers because I completely misunderstood what a software engineer actually does. One of the only perks where I work is how small the software group is. I write my software the way I want and answer to no one about it. Built most of our code base in my image. A lot of people who come in can be very, shall we say, entitled. I work in an OBGYN urology office doing check-ins. People always ask me if it's the OB, pregnant, patients that are mean and moody. They're the sweetest ones. The ones who remember my name and show me their babies when they come in for postpartum visits and stuff. It's the ones who come in for office visits, UTIs, procedures, etc. that are rude. I can't count how many times I've been snapped at by patients who come in on the wrong day and expect to be seen because they showed up. Cussed me out on the phone for not being able to schedule them soon enough, asking if they've been vaccinated, telling them they have to wear a mask, and so on. Even had one lady yesterday that she had hydrogen peroxide injected into her veins. More often than not, the days are great, but there's always at least one crazy event or some kind of conflict. I'm the first one they see, so they take it out on me. Actually, injecting hydrogen peroxide is an actual thing, although I believe it was outlawed by the FDA. Not that I am justifying the nasty lady, I just like to share things I find interesting. I work in a call center. No one ever calls me happy. The only reason to call me is to be about the company I work for. Whatever IT is, IT ain't my dang fault. Just pass the complaints along to the appropriate department. I love everything about my job except they can't seem to get the financial part right, which is soon going to make me leave to another company. I bartend. For me, it's people that order a cocktail and follow with and make it strong. I have no idea who you are and you don't just get free alcohol because you said that. If anything, you'll never get free booze ever because you sound like an butthole and buttholes don't get free drinks. Cool regulars do. Also, the job can just take a toll physically and mentally after a while. It sucks up your weekends, and you have to juggle a ton of tasks at once while managing people's drinking. It's hard not to fall into the party lifestyle, which is not nearly as fun as it seems, especially as you get older. I assumed when you ask for it strong you get charged more the way coffee places charge for extra espresso. Doesn't matter. I like it neat. I like my job as is, but we had a corporate merger last year. This is a Fortune 500 company. Mergers never work out for workers. I've been through 2 of them and they always end in tears. Over the past year, the responsibilities of my job have slowly morphed. We're not past the point of no return yet, but I can feel it coming. My boss's boss left the company, red flag, and her replacement came from a different environment, and of course it's let's fit your model, which has worked fine for 6 decades, into the model I used for this completely different department. It's all incremental and trending badly, but it's not so bad that I would say I hate my job. But come March, when our raises, or lack thereof, are announced, there's a decent chance that between inflation and increase in healthcare premiums and deductibles, I'll almost certainly be making less than last year. My company, pre-merger, was actually pretty good about making sure people got real raises, not just col adjustments. So I can see the writing on the wall, and I know full well I should dust my resume off and take advantage of the labor market right now. But I've been W@H for 2 years now and I don't ever want to go back. They know exactly what they're doing and I hate it. I do. It's just, I wish it wasn't 1. I'm a sailor and I work intensely for roughly 1 month. Then I'm home equally as long. I still get paid. Furthermore, I miss out on Christmas this year, but I'm fine with that. I just struggle with depression, so I truly wish I could work every month instead. When I'm on the ship I feel good, when I'm home I fall apart. I can't cope with it anymore. Because working overtime for $300 a month is a shame in our time. You have no money to live, you have no strength to live. I have to work not because this is my calling, but because I will not survive otherwise. I am under constant pressure from this, which is bad for the psyche. By the way, instead of working and benefiting people, I spend all my efforts to ensure that the fat leader of the organization again raises money from our entire team to buy another yacht. Because it's a freaking job. Don't get me wrong, it's better than a lot of jobs I've had. The phrase "people don't want to work anymore" being bandied about by Marga Gammons is so stupid. Nobody ever wanted to work. If the alternative is do whatever you like and still eat and sleep somewhere warm with your nice things, absolutely everyone would choose that option. I do it because they pay me to. I've gotten into ferret breeding pretty heavily over the last year. Heard it was good money and I grew up with a ferret, so I thought I'd give it a try. I've just converted the finished basement of my home for my ferret breeding operations, and currently live with over 225 ferrets in my home at any given time. Biggest downsides, seems to be completely incompatible with any sort of social life. No one will visit me, date me, or seem to want anything to do with it. Not even men who say they like ferrets, which I don't get. I like my job. The work itself is okay, the managers are good, the pay is above average, and my colleagues are great. As a bonus, the things we make are actually useful as well. It's just freaking filthy. I work in a precast concrete plant. There's cement dust in the air. There's mud on the floor. Everything I work on has to have cement chipped off it before I get to work. Also, we have been without a storekeeper since before I started there in November, which is a pain in the backside since the store is kept locked, so I have to find someone to let me in anytime I want something from there, which is usually clean overalls. The actual work isn't too difficult in itself, it's just made difficult because of the dirt and the availability of tools and spares. Also, the production operators are all monkeys who keep breaking things and don't look after equipment. I just started my job 6 weeks ago. I already know for a fact there's no way this can be a decades-long career. It's really deflating to know there's an end point, and it won't be because of poor work. Sometimes my job can be slow and boring. Mostly I dislike some of the people who seem to go out of their way to make things harder for themselves. I do like my job, but I'll answer this based on jobs I've had in the past. 2 words: micromanaging bosses. I'm very blessed to not be dealing with that currently. Because despite having to be in person, open every day during the pandemic, and directly interacting with the public, nominal pay has been stagnant for most of us. This is despite attrition in our office due to retirements and our duties being expanded. We're told there's no budget for hazard pay, raises, merit increases, or bonuses, but management seems to have room to give themselves 10-15% raises each year. Customers are sometimes entitled, management are detached, work is boring, and there's too much of it to do in too little time. Because it feels like I'm cleaning up after multiples of people. The teachers are whiny, messy, and low-profile buttholes. It's incredibly mundane and soul-sucking having to be restricted into cleaning the same area every night. There's really nowhere to climb or progress from your position. You're either there for your position or you're not. Construction supervisor here. Terrible communication between all our departments. Learning I have dozens of additional items to complete that are months late because they never got recorded in our system. Other people trying to offload their work to me because they are lazy. People arbitrarily changing closing dates. Halving the amount of time I have to complete a home. Having our procedures changed on a whim to accommodate situations. Being asked to do things they fired the previous guy in my position for doing. I also absolutely hate any time I have to deal with a homeowner. 90% of them are picky buttholes. Short-handed because budget is set for a year only and no backfilling of people leaving the area. So if the market takes off or the factory is upgraded happens every 6-8 years, we lose people to go into the new area. Doing the job of 4 people right now, and sometimes I play the boss and do my job at the same time. Kinda. I don't dislike it, it's actually the best job I've ever had. It's just that it's not what I want to be doing for a living, and it's hard not to feel sad and trapped because of that. I have one of those jobs that most people don't even realize is a thing. So that's one thing. I can't just say I do this without begging an explanation. The biggest thing is I'm fixing the same issue over and over and over. No matter how many times I tell the underwriters how to solve the problem, it never sticks. I've given the same explanation to the same person multiple times a week. My job treats everyone as if they are the dumbest person there. Being treated like it's my first minute on the job when I've been doing it for over 20 years is freaking aggravating. Christ, I have more time working at my job than a lot of the supervisors. And the only reason I'm not a supervisor is that I enjoy doing what I do, and the fact that I'm responsible for my actions only. I work in sales at insurance industry, mostly with commercial lines. Apart from Target, I have to listen to clients complaining, or even just chatting every day. I have to quote, secure for business, and then I have to collect and pay premiums while coordinating between departments, operations, finance and claims. Pressure is ongoing all year. My commission is paid quarterly only if I achieve 85% of my target, or nothing will be paid. My boss has the communication skills of an alarm clock. I have schizoid PD, so constant interaction with strangers is basically torture. Yet I'm expected to handle a strong majority of sales and customers. I haven't gotten a schedule in over a year. It's seasonally busy, so I'm working 7 days a week, at least 9-hour shifts. 12 per hour doesn't sustain the budding alcoholism due to the former. Boss refused to hire seasonal help, so it's all cut corners and overtime. The product quality has tanked. Family business, so I'm being constantly financially manipulated. I hate being sweaty and dirty starting at 6 o'clock every morning, getting cut or otherwise hurting myself regularly, being in unsafe situations, working at heights, working overtime all the time, working with a bunch of buttholes and having no job stability. Honestly, I like all of my colleagues, but thanks in part to the economy, I'm currently employed below my qualifications. Depending on the work, I wouldn't even necessarily mind it. It's just, there's literally nothing to do. When I get assigned the occasional task, it maybe takes 5 minutes to get done. I'm bored out of my mind, but I have to put in the hours. The fact that in the middle of a pandemic, and despite the fact that our main product facilitates remote working, we were forced to return to office work as soon as it was legally possible for upper management to force us. Well, not with my actual job, but the last one was the typical office job, and I hated to work every day, no matter if I don't want or I don't need to make someone else richer. More stuff. People stressing for problems of the company, not theirs. People trying to impress every day and going to work dressed for a wedding. Stupid people who's there because they are just perfect bots and they never say a thing but yes boss. Spend all day speaking like a politician because nobody wants to hear the f-king truth. Have an idea. Get ignored. Someone else stole your idea. Suck some dongs and promoted. I can make a subreddit just for this. I'm a cashier, and for me it's not the people for the most part, although some are annoying. It's the standing in one place my whole shift, not being able to move around except when on break. Like if I have no customers, I'll go bag for another cashier just so I can move around a bit. Who likes working? As far as jobs go, mine is alright. But the whole waking up and driving there and then being there all day week, that's what gets me. I'm really good at my job, so they promoted me and now I do less of what I'm really good at and more of the management bulls. Because it's boring. A part of me feels I'm wasting potential there, but other part of me feels really comfortable and I don't have a degree to even be considered for more advanced crap. Having to spend a higher percentage of my finite life looking at my colleagues rather than my family. And then when I finally get to see my family, my soul has been successfully sucked out of my body and I'm dead inside. Two things mainly. 1. It's project based, so it's about hitting deliverables with a lot of time in between, so there is always that stress about meeting it. 2. It's client based, so it's always trying to meet client standards. Some clients are cool, some think we are slaves to them. I actually like my job. I work from home. I can screw off for a while during the day and finish my work at night if I want. No Zoom calls, so I wear jammies a lot. I literally have not seen my boss in 3 years. It has its frustrations. Pretty overwhelming workload at the moment. Sick to death of answering emails. Make less this year than last year even with a raise. And I work my ass off. but it beats every other job I've had. I know, seriously hateable, right? Having departments fight over who gets my help, being the only person in any physical condition to do the horrible stuff, having to show up all the time while the rest of the engineers managers can work from home several days a week, managing the job queuing system. Housekeeper at a hospital, cleaning nasty toilets obviously, changing out air mattresses is not easy, I cannot handle cleaning spit or phlegmy goo. None of those things are the patient's fault though, usually. I knew that was part of the job, but the worst part is the politics in the office. All the supervisors have power struggles with each other, so instead of helping us be able to do our job efficiently and effectively, it's just a pain in the butt. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.